Russian President Vladimir Putin's fiercest critic, Alexei Navalny, the man who survived being poisoned by a deadly nerve agent only to be arrested on a legal technicality, has now moved jails. President Biden has pressured the Kremlin to release him, but Russian authorities have instead reinforced their crackdown on the opposition. So what's next for the movement? Patrick Reevell has the story.
Out of sight, behind the walls of this prison 60 miles east of Moscow, is where Alexei Navalny has been for the past 2 weeks. Putin's fiercest critic is sentenced to spend the next 2.5 years in prison camps. Today, Navalny's lawyers say he was moved again. It's not known yet where. Navalny's return to Russia in January triggered a dramatic standoff. Unusual protests broke out across Russia. But 2 months on, the Kremlin has regained control. It has smothered the protests with repression. Massive police deployments detained thousands during them. Faced with so many arrests, Navalny's team have called off any further street protests until the summer. The Kremlin has shrunk the space for opposition for years, but now it seems that space is all but disappearing. Alexander Ryabkov was forced to resign from his job as a teacher for taking part in the Navalny protests.
All people who say that name publicly and who sympathize with him, the regime has zero tolerance for them.
Navalny himself is now cut off from the outside world. The camps in the region where he's been sent are notoriously strict. Konstantin Kotov spent 1.5 years in a prison there. Russian state media suggested Navalny could also now be sent to the same prison.
It's considered one of the most unpleasant regions in all of Russia for convicts. Your entire day, your entire fate is basically determined by the prison administration.
Like Navalny, Kotov was also a political prisoner, jailed for taking part in pro-democracy protests.
There were around 60 people in one building there. They simply forbid them to talk to me.
The Biden administration this month imposed sanctions on Russian officials over Navalny's jailing, as well as his poisoning with a nerve agent.
We reiterate our call for the Russian government to immediately and to unconditionally release Mr. Navalny.
In Russia, though, the Kremlin controls the narrative. It has painted the protests as violent, and it's been turning up the propaganda machine. And it seems to be working. Independent polls show that the number of Russians who disapprove of Navalny has actually risen since his return. The protests, though, have highlighted a problem that is much harder for the Kremlin to control. In recent years, Putin's approval rating has been eroding. There is growing dissatisfaction in places there wasn't before. Nikolai Korolyov was a police officer in a K9 unit for 13 years. In January, he quit. He says disillusioned with Russia's police.
Before there was prestige about serving, you were proud of your uniform. I was proud of my uniform once. I wore it with honor, but suddenly I couldn't. I looked at my uniform with disgust.
Korolyov, though, is still very much a minority.
The gradual erosion for support of the regime is here underway, but it's very slow. It can be slowed by smart deployment of money. And again, the regime knows all too well that the bulk of the population is too passive to do anything meaningful to confront the regime.
Navalny's team say they had always understood that protests alone can't topple Putin.
We never expected and we never told that there could be just like one event to overthrow Putin. We always told that we have like a long-term strategy to build up our organization, to scale up. But this is a long road that could take many years.
Navalny's team is now targeting parliamentary elections in September. But with Navalny behind bars and his organization under heavy pressure, it's the Kremlin that's in control. And the protests have shown it's ready to go very far to keep it that way. Patrick Reevell for ABC News.
Our thanks to Patrick for that report.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.